What did you see specifically in yourself? We were talking about yesterday, when people say, "Oh, what are you doing right now?" and then everybody has a spiel or whatever, we feel so in alignment with what we're doing. And we're trying to give people more of the most non-renewable resource out there: time. Time with the people that matter, experiencing life. That's literally what we're doing.
Time freedom.
So yes, and like, it's so powerful when you connect it to that. It's not just another pill in a bottle, or and something it rubs on its skin. So what is your personal experience
Well, I'm going
with
to answer that two.
Stemtech?
I'm going to answer that two ways. Number one, you need to answer that from the physical aspect. What changes has it personally done for me and my family? And then again, tying that to the opportunity, what has being with Stemtech afforded? And recently, that really hit home for me. So, from a physical perspective, I'm 64 years old, and I have a lot of friends that are basically my age. And when you look at them, they're dead from the neck up and the neck down because they've lost the ability to dream. They've lost that desire to go out and, do things. And at 64, I'm still as energetic as I've ever been. I mean, I feel at 64 like I did at 44. So there's that life-changing aspect. I still have energy levels that, keep me going all day. Mental clarity. It's an important issue because in my family, there are issues that prevail like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, and I need to ward those off. And I saw the declination in my family starting at my age. So, knowing that I'm doing the right things to prevent those circumstances is important. Two quick stories. One, on this particular side, I remember going to a reunion. I met with a classmate that I hadn't seen in about 14 years. It was back in New York. Walked into the diner, and I see this silver-haired, obese fellow sitting there, and I'm thinking, that can't be him. So I go sauntering over. He looks up at me, and the first thing he says is, "What the hell? Do you have a picture of Dorian Gray in your attic?" Because I'm still pretty much the same way he saw me years ago. So I took that as testimony of the product. I told him flat out, "My stem cells keep me young. I told you about this a decade ago. We need to talk."
Right.
So let's transition that to time freedom. I've been with the company for 18 years. I'm not going to say that it's been easy all the time. Getting the company launched was a challenge, as it is with any company. Getting the science accepted was a challenge because it was such a new thing. It's much easier now, especially with technology being what it is. But when I dug into the opportunity, there were two major changes in my life. Number one, when my kids were growing up, I was the father that was everywhere. I was at the school events. I ran for school board. I was at every track meet. I was at the tennis meets. I went to every show. Every PTA conference, I was there. The friends and families in the neighborhood couldn't figure out what I was doing because I was everywhere, and we had a very decent quality of life. As a matter of fact, some people thought that I was in the drug business because I kept telling them I push pills. So they didn't know what that was. So growing up, it afforded me time that most men don't get, which is time with the family, watching them grow up, become an integral part of that. But later in life, I realized that time freedom meant something even more dear to me. I moved down here to the Caribbean so that my wife and I could be with our parents as they get older. My mom was suffering from Alzheimer's. And we just got here a couple of weeks ago to spend more time with our parents. And my mom, unfortunately, got sick. And in so doing, she was hospitalized. And mom was diagnosed with a variety of issues, one of them being COVID. She was in isolation. Mom had Alzheimer's. Because of the fact that I'm not encumbered by having a normal source of income, I can work wherever I have my phone or my iPad. My mom was placed in an isolation ward for 7 days. I was able to be there in that room with my mom, unfettered time as she was working her way through that. I slept on the floor because there was nowhere to accommodate a cot, but I was with my mom. And when mom got out of isolation and she spent 7 more days trying to recover, I was there 17 hours a day with mom. I was there right until the very end when mom gave me a kiss and said goodbye. And I realized that the blessing that I have is I was there as my children were growing, and the memories I have with them are just remarkable. And at the end of my mom's life, I was able to say goodbye without worrying about time or anything like that. So how do you put a price on that,